All right, Glenn, you ready to go?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, just before we start, I want to just take a quick drink of water, okay?
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Let me get some, too.
As Mike took his long sip of water, he thought about what he might say about the 2006 film Little Children. Would he compare it to the novel it was based on? Would he talk about Jackie Earle Haley's performance? Would he talk about the crush he had on Kate Winslet growing up? Would he mention the funny feelings seeing a shirtless Patrick Wilson gave him? The feelings he knew Glen had as well? One thing's for certain, he knew he had to give the spoiler warning. When he finished drinking, he placed his cup down and prepared to speak.
The following podcast contains spoilers for little children. You've been warned!
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of KFR News Radio. This is your host, Glen Button, along with your host, Miguel Magusto.
Hello.
Oh.
How are you?
Gutenberg.
Guten Abend.
Guten
Goodbye, Berlin.
Abend. What's going on, buddy?
Not too much. What's going on with you?
Oh, God, look. Not much. I've been having some lower back pains, and I whipped out the yoga mat specifically for the podcast. Look at that. It's quite sexy. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
I've been bending backs on that thing.
That's good, I guess. You can
I guess
get that
singular.
lumbar stretched out.
Singular back, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, what movies have you watched this week?
Oh,
or
dear
the past
Lord.
2 weeks, rather.
I'm so glad you asked.
Yeah.
Of course, like, as you know, I haven't been watching many movies, but I've been a little bit more consistent in my scheduling, and I think I'm trying to get a good routine down here. So, we did see Tuesday last week.
Yes, yes, we
And
did.
that had that lady from Seinfeld we all love and remember the name, of course, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. So we saw that. We didn't do a review for that. So sorry, guys, that's not on the YouTubes, but we did enjoy it with our eyes.
Yes, we did.
So yeah, I don't know if you want to talk about that or not, but we'll get to it when we get around to your area.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
So I had started watching Snowfall a couple weeks ago, and I finally finished the first season. I usually just throw it on before I pass out, so I'll never finish it at this rate. So that's been good so far. I'm really looking forward to the other seasons. I think there's a bunch of them, so I'm kind of scared on that one. I finally finished my goddamn goal. I know you've been ahead for a while. My reading goal.
Oh, your reading goal, yeah.
I was waiting to do. My stepdad gave me a self-help book, and I was trying to get through that, but I figured it's kind of unnecessary to crank through a self-help book. You should really read the self-help book when you're mentally needing the self-help book. Yeah. So I got to like chapter 3, and I was like, I'm just gonna save this, and just when I am low, I am gonna start reading it again. So I just moved on to another book. It was called Lemon. It's kind of like a murder mystery type thing, more of like a drama, really. It was good. I enjoyed it. It was good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Unless like people also read the book, it's kind of, I don't want to talk about it too much. So after that, I kept surpassing the fucking goal, and I was like, let me read another goddamn book because I've got nothing else to do right now. Yeah. And I read another Ernest Hemingway book, and that one was called The Old Man and the Sea. I had bought that from a library kind of little selling thing. Mm-hmm. That's words. I just wanted I wanted to read another one. The Sun Also Rises was good, but I wanted to see what else he could do. Definitely a different pace, definitely a different tone, definitely not filled with rich white people problems and thruples. I liked it a bit more, but unfortunately, what I've experienced with Hemingway so far is that he's kind of repetitive in the way he writes. Like this could have been a very short book. But he
Isn't
repeats.
It already like only like 190 pages or something?
120 some pages.
120 something, yeah.
So it was already like, and the words were a little bit bigger, so it could have definitely been like a shorter book, or like a smaller book, I should say. But like a lot of what the sailor or the fisherman says in this is just shit he repeats over and over again.
Yeah, that's why
he's stranded at sea. Not really stranded, but he's out at sea with a fish. he's going to just kind of keep talking that bullshit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked it. It was good. And because of that, I was like, let me see. I guarantee there's a couple Hemingway movies. So let me see that. So I watched The Old Man and the Sea, the movie. It came out in 1958. I just wanted to see how they adapted it because it is like a short book and kind of hard to, what I would assume is kind of hard to put to film because there's not much going on. They did it.
That's the least you could ask.
It's the least you can ask.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of issues that I had with the movie, but like I didn't hate the movie, but I watched it, and that's the least you can ask as well. Yeah. And I started to watch the TV movie, The Old Man and the Sea, that came out in 1990. I got halfway through before I was like, I should probably go to bed, and so I did. That was, in my opinion, much better than the first one that I watched, and the only big issue that I have with it is it focuses a little too much on this couple that's like vacationing on this in Havana where the fisherman lives. They focus a little bit too much on him to kind of give him like a little bit more connection to the audience on like his backstory and shit, but like at the same time that's taking away the connection because you're following the couple talking about him while he's fishing. So it kind of cuts between. It was a whole thing. Then I watched Little Children, which we shall get into just a moment. But Mike, what did you watch?
Well, before I move on to what I watch, I do want to remind you that you have a list of movies that you could choose from to watch.
Yes, I know. I keep
the Stonies that may or may not be happening. I know. That we may or may not have been waiting for a while for. But I watched 11 movies. I'm not going to go through all of them, just the highlights. The first one I watched was a documentary about the Negro Leagues called The League. For those of you who don't follow baseball, Major League Baseball finally accepted the player statistics for the Negro League and brought them in to the MLB. This created a lot of hubbub, if you will, among people who do not think that should have happened because now there is a new hits leader, Josh Gibson, I believe, or batting average, one of those. Past Ty Cobb for that. So this was just about the Negro Leagues in general, and it was kind of cool seeing it. This was made last year, so it was kind of cool seeing that, now with knowing some of the names from some of the new records that there are. So yeah, if you like baseball, I would highly suggest checking out The League. It goes into like the history of it all and how integrating the Negro League with the MLB was important, but also kind of screwed over black team owners.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because, these were owned by black people, the teams. And then, of course, they brought the players in, but they pushed the owners out. So it was kind of a whole ththing that way. It's very interesting if you're interested in the history of baseball or if you just like baseball in general. Then I watched, I'm going to briefly go over this because it's a important movie. Koyaanisqatsi, for those of you who don't know, it is a documentary, I guess you could say, which is just a montage of nature and cities and stuff, and just kind of like the escalation of technology and industry and all that. There's no dialogue in it throughout. It's just literally just a musical montage of Philip Glass. A lot of people will recognize some of the music from Grand Theft Auto and watch The Watchmen. It's an important movie because it's like, one of the first of its kind and all that. But yeah, it's just a montage. So it didn't really blow me away. It's just kind of interesting to watch. Then I watched Tuesday, which you said we don't have. Yeah, not Swiss Army Man montage. We watched Tuesday, which we don't have a YouTube video for. I really liked it. I thought it was weirder than I thought it was going to be, and I already thought it was going to be weird. Yeah. So, I like movies that try to do things different, so it kind of like keeps me off my game. Yeah, I don't really have too many problems with it. The way that I thought it was going to go, I think I personally would have liked better.
Yeah, so I think I was with you on board there for that too.
But I think that it's still, obviously we didn't make this movie, so as far as someone else making it and it not maybe living up to what we expected, I still really enjoyed it. Loved the character of Death being a parrot.
Yeah, me too. I was
very
kind of worried about that. I was like, is this going to translate well?
And it did. It did. But yeah, that's Tuesday. Highly suggest people check that out if you got time. Then on Father's Day, I did my annual tradition as a father of abandoning my children with their mother. I saw 2 movies. The first one being Ezra, which is a movie about a father and son, but it's also rated R, so it would not have been good to take my 3-year-old child to. And it's Bobby Cannavale. His son has autism, or his son is autistic, and him and his wife are going through a divorce, and he essentially kidnaps his autistic child because he's restrained from watching him or seeing him. So it was pretty good movie overall. I don't think it's gonna wow anyone, but if you're a father, it's probably gonna make you choke up a little bit.
Ooh.
Not at all what I was expecting, but I really enjoyed it. Then I saw the TV Glow, which I chalked this up to David Lynch if he were a millennial, because it just feels like David Lynch would have made this if he grew up in the 90s.
I think I remember seeing that post you put in there about that.
Yeah, it really felt like that. The whole time I was watching, I was like, this just feels like David Lynch if he grew up watching The Adventures of Pete and Pete. I'm saying. But the only thing that kind of got me, kind of annoyed with it, it's not, I guess annoyed is not the word, it just threw me off, is that it takes place following this one kid or one man from the age of 13 to the age of 48, I think it is. From 15 to 48, it's played by Justice Smith, who is a grown-ass man. From 15 to 48, but from 13 to 14, it's played by a child actor. It's like, if you're going to have Justice Smith, who is 28 years old, play a 15-year-old, just go all the way and have him play 13, too.
Might as well, man.
Especially because the actress who is in it, who is also an adult, plays her from when she's 15 to when she's 23 or whatever, and then so they already did that with the other actor. Why not just do it with Justice Smith? I'm sure they had their reasoning. For me, it was more of a distraction than it could have been or should have been. But overall, I liked it. It's a weird movie. It's slow paced, but I think, especially upon a second viewing, I'll probably like it more. It's one of those movies that you kind of have to let sit for a bit. I watched Little Children, which we'll get into in just a second, and then I just saw that there was a documentary on Netflix about Gene Wilder called Remembering Gene Wilder. And one of the first videos we made was about his death.
Yeah.
So I
kicking
think
KFR really.
Yeah. We started in June, the very end of June in 2016, and he died in August 2016. Yeah, I love Gene Wilder, always have. Watching this, I found out he served in the Army at the hospital, the Veterans Hospital that my grandfather went to in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. So there is a very slight, I don't know the exact history of my grandfather being in and out of the Veterans Hospital there.
Yeah.
But there is a very slight chance that they might have met, and because he worked at the psychiatric hospital. My grandfather was in and out of the psychiatric hospital because he was schizophrenic. And yeah, I just thought that was cool. I had no idea that he...
it's like all these people just keep passing us by who are famous, damn it.
Yes, yeah. M. Night Shyamalan,
but, many
Gene
years
Wilder.
before we were born.
But yeah, that's all I watched. So without any further ado, let's get into Little Children.
Something really beautiful.
Something for my mommy.
It's the hunger for an alternative, and the refusal to accept a life of unhappiness. Aaron's been telling me about his new friend Lucy. She sounds like a sweet little girl. What's her mother like?
The lives of two lovelorn spouses from separate marriages, a registered sex offender, and a disgraced ex-police officer intersect as they struggle to resist their vulnerabilities and temptations in suburban Massachusetts. Directed by Todd Field, written by Todd Field, based on the book by Tom Perrotta. It is starring Kate Winslet, Jennifer Connelly, Patrick Wilson, Jackie Earle Haley, Noah Emmerich, and many others. Ty Simpkins, who has played Patrick Wilson's son in like 5 or 6 movies at this point. Most of them the Insidious movies, but it's still pretty interesting fact. So this was on my big list of movies. I had watched it probably 2007, 2008, like right when it was released on DVD, borrowed it from a neighbor of mine. It was a lot, in my memory, a lot better than I thought it was going to be because, it doesn't seem like the kind of thing I would like, but it's a very intriguing movie with a lot of different, characters and their flaws and conflicts and all that. So it kind of took me off guard. And this was also Jackie Earle Haley's kind of like coming back. He was a child actor in the original Bad News Bears, and I'm sure other things that I can't remember. And so he was nominated for an Oscar for this. So that was kind of like the big news surrounding that, is like Jackie Earle Haley's back, and he looks way different than he did when he was a kid.
And the crazy thing is he hasn't gotten nominated since, and that's mind-blowing to me.
He's picked more...
At least for Rorschach, I'm kind of surprised, because that was a crazy
that was
role for
back
him.
Before the Academy started respecting superhero movies. They were still just kind of like, oh yeah, we'll give them the effects awards and all that. But he was great as Rorschach too. And also with Patrick Wilson in that as the Night Owl, I think his character's name is.
Let's say yes and piss people off if it's wrong.
Yeah, but Jackie Earle Haley's a great actor, and he was the main reason I wanted to see it, just because I like it when non-conventional looking people kind of like wow people. I'm not gonna be one of those people that's just like, oh, he's ugly. I don't think he's ugly. I just don't think he's not Patrick Wilson.
Well, that's pretty hard to compete with.
He looks his age, if not older, and he's very gaunt, very skinny. So he has a lot of going against him as far as like a leading man goes. So even though I hadn't seen the movie when the Oscars came about, I was like, I have no idea who this is. I hope he wins, because I always just go for like newcomers. He really impressed me in this film. And just the film overall was really interesting. Even when I was, how old was I, like 18, 17 when I watched it, I still found it fascinating, and I typically don't go for these kinds of movies with like affairs and stuff.
Yeah, I was specifically curious on how you were going to react to this movie, and then I saw your Letterboxd score. I was like, whoa. Very interesting.
I had it at a 3.5 because I rated it when I first did Letterboxd and couldn't remember how strongly I felt about it. Yeah. And then I bumped it up to a 4.5 after watching this.
But we don't overput on the shelf yet, guys. Hold on.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's plenty of movies that I think are good that don't deserve to be watched by anyone. So, but Glenn, you just finished it, so it's fresher in your mind.
Yes, this is super fresh in the mind.
Tell me what you thought.
I can't wait to tell you about the story of how I thought this movie was going to go. I don't know if I just wasn't listening or if it was just too hot in the room that when we were like describing this movie, but I had a whole different movie kind of planned in my head.
Yeah.
So the lives of two lovelorn spouses from their separate marriages, and then I guess I read one as a sex offender, or like.
Oh yeah, I could. Yeah, I could see
so.
That. Like one's a sex offender, the other one's a disgraced cop.
And then watch the trailer and how like kind of eerie and how Patrick Wilson's kind of just staring at things, and I'm like, is he gonna go after the kid? But he's like sleeping with the girl to get to the kid. I had a whole movie in my head that was not this movie, and to watch it and it not be like that was something else. I'll tell you what. I'm like, was he? Yeah. When's he gonna plant the claws? I'm so scared right now. But yeah, I had a whole movie planned in my head when I started watching this, and I'm very happy that it didn't go like that. But very curious how that movie would have went now if it had actually happened. So yeah, big surprise there. Big surprise. As we know, Glen does love him some Patrick Wilson. He is a very talented and handsome fella. And looking at Letterboxd reviews, most people agree with the second part.
Yeah.
Many people. It's
He also did
scary.
play a pedophile in Hard Candy, so I could see why you got that.
There is that.
Kind of
There is
mixed up.
that. So yeah, it's going back to the little twist that I put in my own head. Yeah, I mean it was really good as far as everything goes. Kind of hard to at least be like on board with people, but you're like, okay, I could see why they're doing things like that. You know, the cheating and all that. It's not excusable.
More from Kate Winslet.
Yes.
Patrick Wilson, I think, was just an asshole because Jennifer Connelly was just nothing but... She was busy and maybe a little pushy, but other than that, she was nothing but like a kind and loving wife.
All they had to do was sit down and talk about each other's needs. Maybe a sit down, but they didn't do that. But yeah, it's hard to excuse anybody from this except for maybe Kate Winslet. And I mean, it's not a hard disagree right there, in my opinion.
I mean, like, if you want to get real technical, people have differing definitions of cheating. Where like some people think that even just like thinking about another person is cheating.
Yeah.
Whereas he was just kind of addicted to pornography and sniffing underwear of other women.
At that point, I will say, if you're, at my point of view, if you're watching porn, that's one thing. You're just trying to get your rocks off. That's in my opinion. But if you're going full out, like got this woman's undergarments and now you're jerking into the bins. Well,
I read in the book too.
That's it.
I read in the book that at the end of I was reading the synopsis of the book. At the end of the book, Kate Winslet's husband leaves her for that particular porn star.
Well, I did read in one of the trivias there that it's kind of alluded that he, like when he gets caught, he goes, I think, and then it's most likely to whatever the Susie K or whatever her name was.
Slutty K.
Slutty K. I was trying to make it PG. No, I wasn't. I'm just dumb. But yeah, I mean, that's a whole thing. It all depends on your brand of cheating. If you're seeing a guy that's doing something like that, you should probably run or at least walk down the stairs and pack some bags. I don't know. It's up to you. You know what? Pack his bags. He's the one who fucked up. But yeah.
Also, doing it at work is bold.
Very bold, indeed.
Bold. You know, I know a lot of people quote Tim Robinson all the time, but we shouldn't be able to watch a little bit of porn at work. We should not be able to.
I just want to stuff a hot dog in my sleeve and eat it. What's wrong with that?
I'm the tiredest I've ever been.
But yeah. Oh my God. I usually, it's crazy for my mind, and I'm sorry this is coming off as me saying this. Fucking Jennifer Connelly is so goddamn gorgeous, like as a human being. When she was on the screen for the first time, I think I was like,
yeah.
It's like, golly, she's so talented. How did she do it?
Yeah. But at the same, like, if you, the whole thing about Kate Winslet's character, she was supposed to be like homely looking.
Yeah.
If you want us to buy her as homely looking, maybe not pick the actress that was the sexual awakening for an entire generation that saw Titanic way too young. Like,
yeah, because all the reviews are like, and they say Kate Winslet's supposed to look ugly.
Yeah, like in this, yes, Jennifer Connelly is more model-like in this, but they're both beautiful in their own right.
Yeah, they're both gorgeous,
and like to the point where like when Patrick Wilson tells Kate Winslet, "Beauty's not everything." Implying that she's not as beautiful as Jennifer Connelly. It's just like
from male brain, he's saying like, you know, I don't care about that, but lady brain, they're like, you said what? Straight faced and everything. He was very bold man. But yeah, Jackie Earle Haley, he was so great. I was expecting the end of this movie to go very differently too. Once I actually grasped the concept of what was actually happening, I was expecting the ending to go kind of crazy. But I feel like I'm jumping into that a little early. Jackie Earle Haley,
Yeah, and it's also a little different from the book from what I read. We'll get into later.
What was very funny is to look at every movie trivia's got those like, oh, she was considered for the role, he was considered for the role. It was very funny to see the first in the trivia's for considered for the role was Vera Farmiga, considering that is Patrick Wilson's absolute work wife.
Yeah,
to just have
and The Conjuring.
Yeah, just to think about having her in this would have just been so funny to me.
Yeah, you mean his work wife and his work son are both in this? What is happening?
Yeah, what is happening? The movie has a lot of like actors that went on to do a lot of things together later.
Yeah,
I mean, you could just pick and choose here. Like it's all
Jack
over
Miller
the place.
Haley and Patrick Wilson.
Yeah,
Patrick Wilson, Ty Simpkins. I'm sure others. I can't pick them at the moment.
they're in there.
That's the only two, actually.
What was weird for me is not saying that this was bad, but it was very weird. When I was watching this, I got to like the hour mark, and it's not like a pacing issue. I think it just was literally me. Got to the hour mark, and it felt like an hour and a half had already passed, or like maybe hour 45, and I was like, holy shit. I still have an hour and a half of this left, roughly. Again, not bad. As you could tell, got the yoga mat out. I've been doing yoga. My lower back's killing me. 31's kicking my ass. So I'm just sitting there like, fuck me. Kate Winslet getting her back blown out. I'm sitting here getting mine blown.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
It's fine.
I couldn't help it. I don't know. This movie for me is particularly hard to talk about. I think it's mainly because I fucked up and had something set up in my head that wasn't ready for.
Yeah, I could see that. I can tell you this much, that as watching this as someone who was either at the end of high school or just out of high school, I don't remember exactly when I watched it. You don't quite understand that the title "Little Children" is referring to everyone in the movie. Not just the kids, because watching this, it is so obvious how immature everyone, except for maybe Jennifer Connelly and
Ronnie's mother,
how immature they all are, and that all culminates to the final football game where Patrick Wilson scores the scoring touchdown, and Kate Winslet is literally cheering for him in the stands.
From the stands, yeah.
Like a high school girlfriend would do for her boyfriend. And like it just hit me where I was just like, oh man, I did not understand what this movie was saying at all when I was a kid. I really liked it still, but like it was so much deeper. And people who watched this when they were older for the first time are gonna be like, yeah, of course that was it. But you got like, if that is your idea of what being in love is because you're in high school, it's cheering for your boyfriend in the stands, or kissing your girlfriend on the football field, all that stuff. It's all very immature how it's all handled, and
mostly to be seen again is how they're in, or like a whole time together has been. And
to even like have the friend of Patrick Wilson, Larry, played by Noah Emmerich, while they're making out in the middle of the field, he's just like, "Are you coming? Are you coming to the bar?
Coming to the bar, man? What's going on?
I don't want to go drink alone. Are you coming?"
Tongue deep. He's like, "What's going on? Are you coming, man?"
I was just laughing my ass off because I was like, this is so on the nose, but yet me being 18 completely missed it because being in high school or just out of high school, I'm like, yeah, that's what right. Having a friend who's a third wheel is like. It's
scarily how that is too.
Yeah. So I absolutely love that aspect of it. Watching this, it was a lot because of that. It was a lot funnier than I remember. Also, a lot darker, of course.
Yes.
But I do like how Kate Winslet's character, and I'm trying to choose my words very carefully because it's such a hot topic, was like, for lack of a better word, a defendant of Ronnie, the sex offender, where it's just like, just leave him alone. Not even like saying, oh, he did his time or whatever.
Oh, dude, I was doing
just like
I was towards the end of the movie, I was doing some fucking scary movie shit where one of the Wayans brothers just screaming, "Run, bitch, run!"
Yeah. Well, it was just like I love that it's a very bold move to have someone
Yeah.
not even defend, just like tell people to leave him alone.
Yeah,
because,
she's like, "Are you sure you want to?" What were they doing? What were they talking about? Fucking ripping his dick off. That was basically.
Yeah, because
caterizing, castrating,
yeah,
categorize.
I understand like the revenge and the wanting of vendetta for something like that. In this particular movie, he didn't even touch a kid. He just like exposed himself, which is still very wrong.
Yeah.
But like, other than emotionally scarring, like physically, the kids were fine, and I think it's what a lot of people don't understand is that a lot of pedophiles were abused as children themselves, sexually abused as children themselves. They never go into Jackie Earle Haley's, or sorry, Ronnie. I don't want to make it seem like he's the. They don't never go into Ronnie's history really that far, but like that is a big reason why pedophilia happens, is that they're abused as children, and it becomes like, for lack of a better, they're awakening, and you know, it's. And I'm not saying that you need to have empathy with them, but like leave them alone. Like don't harass them.
Yeah,
because
I mean, if he does something, get your pitchforks back out.
Yeah,
but,
if
like,
he does something, but like don't.
You're going to his doorstep and fucking with him. Something
not only,
might happen.
Yeah, not only is Noah Emmerich's character waking him up, which whatever, I understand. He's waking up the rest of the neighbors who have to live next to him anyway.
And so one of the last times he went up, even the people around him were like, "Would you fucking go home? What are you doing? Just chill out."
Yeah, because I think people were just like ready to move on from it.
Yeah,
and that's another thing is like people can't move on from their past until you let them move on from their past. So while in this movie particularly, Ronnie makes it seem like he's going to move on and then just completely makes himself disgusting, and poor Sheila. Sheila.
Oh my God, poor Sheila.
Poor Sheila. I just wanted to give her a hug. Like I felt so bad for her. But like you think
not
that
with Ronnie around at least.
Yeah, not with Ronnie. You think that he's kind of turning a new leaf, and she has this big monologue, and then he's just like jacking off to it. It's just
she has this huge moment for herself where she could finally just like.
And it's like by the playground, so you understand why, why he's doing.
Get everything off her back, and then boom, he's just like,
poor Sheila. Like hashtag justice for Sheila.
Justice for Sheila.
Justice for Sheila. But I just thought it was a bold.
Well,
like,
Ronnie's
to
character
make it,
said just this for Sheila. So stopping.
But I thought it was bold to not just be like, oh, he's a pedophile. Let's make him the villain. It's like there's multiple, if you could call them villains to this, and he is one of the antagonists, but he's not like the only antagonist. The other antagonists are like, more abstract, where it's like thinking your life could be better with someone else who doesn't even really love you that much. So it was just a bold complexity to the entire thing.
Yeah,
and we'll get into the ending in a bit, because the ending is different in the book, which makes it worse. But
Ronnie and Larry's little relationship. Well, I wouldn't call it a relationship, by the way. I just can't think of a better word, because brain. Larry had something to prove and something to redeem himself for from
killing the teenager on accident. Not on accident, but like it wasn't, the scenario was not what he thought it was.
But he has something to prove to himself, that he's not this guy everybody's talking about, that he's this kid killer, and everything. So he's kind of going out of his way to try to prove that he is standing up against this, child exposer, and that he's going to do something in it. And he's trying to he's the leader of the tiki torches against this guy. And I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily that Ronnie's trying to move on, but his mother's trying to get him to move on. And with Larry poking the bear, eventually the bear's going to bite back. And, it's fucked. So which made
We
their
just didn't know that the bear had a heart condition.
yeah that bear yeah, Mama Bear. We miss you, Mama Bear. Damn you, Phyllis. Why'd you have to be so goddamn nice? You made my heart flutter a little bit. I wanted to come to your house and look at those little dolls and just be like, oh yeah, that's not creepy at all. You're very nice, Mom. But I really like how much because again, I thought this movie was going to go in a darker direction, especially towards the end, when everything was going down. So I really liked the way that Larry and Ronnie's kind of relationship developed through that. I because I had this mindset that it was going to be a darker theme, I am a little disappointed in myself. Again, myself, not the actual movie, with how it went down. Because it felt like, in a way, someone kind of, or like everyone kind of got their, not necessarily happy ending, but they awakened from this daydream that they all had.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, is fine. That's real life. But it just felt like no one really, I mean, besides Ronnie, got fucked over in all this, really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is. You're completely right. Because like, it's not your typical happy ending, but everyone, again, except for Ronnie, ends up for the better.
Yeah.
We could just get into it. Ronnie, of course, castrates himself
After his mother dies.
After his mother died, because she left a note saying to be a good boy, and he knew that he probably couldn't unless he castrated himself. But then, of course, Larry goes to apologize because he's the reason his mother died. He didn't kill her, but like he made her have her heart rate elevated, and she either had a stroke or a heart attack. I don't know if they ever specify. I believe in the synopsis it says she has a stroke. And then of course, when Kate Winslet's trying to be nice to Ronnie, while waiting for Patrick Wilson, her daughter runs away.
How the fuck she get off that swing?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's one thing. Those swings kids cannot get out of.
Unless they plummet head first. That's a whole different thing, though.
Yeah. I mean, like, theoretically they could, but it's very unlikely that, especially her age.
Not without any sounds and grunting or anything.
Yeah. But, like, the panic of her daughter, not knowing where her daughter was, kind of makes her realize she's being ridiculous.
Yeah.
Patrick Wilson gives himself a concussion, knocks himself out from skateboarding. That makes him realize that he's being ridiculous and doesn't really see a future with Kate Winslet at all. Did I talk about Larry yet? He kind of sees the error of his ways and actually tries to save Ronnie.
Yeah, you talked about how he kind of accidentally
speed
boosted.
He goes
Mama's
to apologize. Then that's probably what my favorite part was, is that him just being like, man, I really fucked up, showing that, like, he has the capacity for empathy even for this person that really doesn't deserve empathy from most people. And I just thought that was very powerful. Now, in the book, it's different because Ronnie admits to murdering a child. And I don't know if I would have liked this movie as much if it was if that had happened.
Yeah,
because
they definitely changed it for the right reasons.
Yeah, I personally feel like
he was also apparently a very big balding man, like kind of grotesque. Apparently, if I read that correctly
in the book.
I think so. Yeah.
So I didn't read
how Jackie Earle Haley looks in this wasn't supposed to be him at all.
Yeah. I mean, he's balding, but he's small. He's a small
I could
person.
see if I could try to find it.
But yeah, I just thought, like, the whole through line of, empathy, even with Kate Winslet's character, where she goes to that book club where essentially one of the playground moms keeps calling her a slut indirectly.
Being an overweight, balding chain smoker who wears glasses.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like him at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, like with Kate Winslet being in that book club where indirectly the other woman keeps calling her a slut because she's like, she knows that the affair is going on, or at least suspects it.
Yeah.
And instead of getting mad, which I would have, she kind of like explains herself through the character of the book they're reading, which also happens to be having an affair. And that just shows like this huge strength and empathy, and also while her defending herself. And I just thought it was, it showed that like these people are doing all these bad things, but none of them are truly, except for, Ronnie.
It was
are,
maturity and the
people.
immaturity acts that they're doing.
Yes. And it's such a complex story and done so beautifully. I love the narration in it because it kind of makes it feel like a true crime documentary.
It took me out at first, but I got used to it.
Yeah,
I,
I love that
felt like
guy's
the
voice.
like a Truman Show. I was like, what the fuck is happening here?
But yeah, I just think it's an extremely well-made movie. Nominated for 3 Oscars. I know Jackie Earle Haley was one. Todd Field was probably another. And then maybe screenplay. My computer's going slower now, so it's...
It was weird. Mine was doing the same thing.
Kate Winslet, Jackie Earle Haley, and screenplay for Todd Field and Tom Perrotta. But, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think one more thing I really got to say is like the moms in the playground in the beginning, they're like the park, and they're all kind of just chatting it up, and they're like, "Oh, the prom king's here! Oh, the prom king!" And they're just kind of like getting pampered up as soon as he walks in. God, those women were in this fucking Letterboxd review for this movie because they were all going nuts. It's everything's so sexualized. It's insane.
Yeah.
I get it. It was very sexualized for the most part in like the characters in the movie. But god damn, if there wasn't more to the movie than that, it's insane.
Yeah. I mean,
go beat off in the shower. Go do something. Spray yourself with a bottle.
I have been the only dad at a playground multiple times, but I also do not look like Patrick Wilson, so I can't tell you how accurate that is. What I will tell you is accurate is that the whole all of the moms talk to each other and then the dad's just kind of by himself.
Oh, gossiping.
That's 100% true. Or like unless their kid is talking, like comes up and talks to me and they want to make sure I'm not a creep even though I'm there with my own son, they will not talk to me.
Yeah.
Which, I get. I don't want to talk to them either, so I get it.
Yeah,
but,
kid, get away, please.
But when he comes to the park and just immediately walks past it, I'm like, yep, that's me. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I do not want to socialize with them. But yeah.
I mean, overall, I really
as far
enjoyed...
as being hit on, I can't tell because I'm.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm a bad looking dude, but I'm no Patrick Wilson.
Well, if I was there, trust me.
Well, I know.
You'd be getting Shakespeare thrown at you, and I'm not talking about the book. I'm talking about
his
words
actual
of
corpse.
love and affection.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, his actual dug up freshly, stole from the museums, coming right at you. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed this movie a lot. I'm disappointed in myself more than anything of how I thought this movie was going to go. But in my own mind, I'm sitting there like, damn, this would have been a crazy movie if I thought how it was going to go actually went. The thing I feel most bad about with this movie is the kids more than anything.
Yeah. It's horrible.
I mean, listen, cheating is one thing, but also cheating with your kids, like just downstairs, like you're bringing your kids into the cheating situation.
Yeah,
it's so fucked.
Yeah.
Like I get it. Got to get those sexual tendencies, figured out. But bringing your kids into the situation, I can only imagine, if Kathy ever actually went down to the depths and did a little bit more investigating and found out that Aaron was, there, she'd be, trust me, Patrick Wilson, don't care how handsome he is, welcome to the curb, buddy.
Yep.
You're out. Here's your luggage.
Yep. She didn't deserve that. She was...
If they literally sat down, had a conversation, there you go.
Given what I understand what their plans were as far as income goes, what she wanted to happen was completely reasonable.
Yeah.
Because if they just wanted him to be a stay-at-home dad, she would not be pushing him to go take the bar exam. She would not be pushing him to bring in any money, because that's what my situation is right now. I have to do freelancing on the side and everything. but like I don't have like a full-time job.
Yeah.
So to know that she was doing that is to know that that was what they had previously discussed, and if he's unhappy about it, he's not telling her about it.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to, sit down like adults and have a conversation. And she's never like in the beginning they tried to make the whole excuse, they haven't had sex in a long time. That's just being parents, That's It's just it's an unfortunate part of that because.
And even
when you have free time, you're too tired, and when you don't have free time, you don't have free time.
I mean, and even the immature mothers at the park, even like were like, yeah, just set a day aside and get both your businesses done at the same time. Just kind of schedule it. Sadly, that's kind of what it has to come to.
Yeah.
But that's all they had to do was sit down and have that conversation about it. But
yeah.
I don't know.
It's not. I mean, I think a lot of people don't like the. They don't think the scheduling part is romantic. I was like, it doesn't need to be.
Not.
Like, I just think that I don't think the film was trying to make Jennifer Connelly look bad, but in the beginning they tried to get you on Patrick Wilson's side.
They're trying to make you understand his point of view of it.
Yeah, and I did understand his point of view, but I still thought he was wrong.
Yeah, not 100%.
Whereas like Kate Winslet, I was just like, I get it for Kate Winslet more than I get it for Patrick Wilson. Mm-hmm. And Jennifer Connelly deserved better.
Yeah,
she deserved a guy like me.
Yeah, he pretty much had no reason to cheat, but he did. But I mean, that's how it happens.
Yeah, right. I don't have anything else to say about this.
Right there with you, pal.
Judgment. So that does it for our review of Little Children. That brings us to the Judgment. As always, it needs to be a unanimous decision when that goes to KFR Shelf with the Legs of Apostle and Handmaiden. This was my pick, so I get to go first. I think this is a fantastic film. It's a subject matter that I don't normally give any 2, 3, 4, 5 shits about.
Yeah.
But it makes me care.
Or 4.5 shits.
Or 4.5 shits. It makes me care, and it keeps me interested pretty much the entire time. I didn't think I was bored at any point while watching it. So I think it's just a masterfully made film. And I think it does go on the shelf.
I am curious if there weren't the subplots within the movie, how it would have still held up to you. So if it was
like
just
Jackie
about
Earle Haley?
Yeah, if it was just about those two, cheating and all that, I'm curious how it would have went for you instead.
I do admit the Noah Emmerich, Jackie Earle Haley story arc is more interesting to me. Mm-hmm. But I also didn't mind the affair romance as much as I normally do in movies like this. And I think that's just because Todd Field is a great director. So, it goes on the shelf for me.
I will agree with you, brother.
Yes.
It was so good.
Little Children goes onto the KFR shelf with the Legs of Apostle and Handmaiden, and that brings us to next episode's movie. It is Glen's turn to pick. So, Glenn, what are we watching?
Ooh, I'm going to make you watch something. The sun has set on this movie that we just watched, but it is time for a little bit of sunrise in this one. And that movie has got Ethan Hawke in it and the word sunrise. We're going to watch Before Sunrise.
Is this the first in the trilogy?
I believe so. I hope so, because I didn't know there was a trilogy. There's a trilogy?
Yeah, it's Before Sunrise. Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, I believe.
And then Before Midnight.
And Before Midnight, yeah. So this is the first in the trilogy.
Yeah. Thank glorious.
There you go.
All right, I have an admittedly insane idea, but if I don't ask you this, it's just gonna haunt me the rest of my life. I have no idea what your situation is, but I feel like we have some kind of connection, right?
Yeah, me too.
Great. So listen, here's the deal. This is what we should do. You should get off the train with me here in Vienna and come check out the town. We just got into Vienna today, and we're looking for something fun to do.
Sprechen Sie English?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Do you speak German for a change?
Now I'm gonna call my best friend in Paris, who I'm supposed to have lunch with in 8 hours. Okay?
Okay.
Ring, ring. Pick up the phone.
Hello?
I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it for lunch today, I'm sorry. I met a guy on the train and I got off with him in Vienna. We're still there.
Are you crazy?
Probably. He has beautiful blue eyes, nice pink lips, frizzy hair. I love it. I like to feel his eyes on me when I look away. You couldn't possibly know why a night like this is so important to my life right now, but it is. Since we're never gonna see each other again, I don't think we should sleep together.
Let's see each other again.
I don't want you to break our vow, just so you can get laid. Men are lucky we don't bite off their head after mating. Certain insects do that, you know, like spiders and stuff. We at least let you live.
Anyway, yeah, we're going to watch Before Sunrise. It is going to be on Criterion Channel. A young man and woman meet on a train in Europe and wind up spending one evening together in Vienna. Unfortunately, both know that this will probably be their only night together. Directed by Richard Linklater, written by Richard Linklater, Kim Krizan, stars Anthony Hawke. What's funny about his name is I always want to say Hawking.
You also said Anthony.
Did I?
Yeah.
No! It stars Ethan Hawke, Julie Delpy, a bunch of no-faced people in here right now. Ernie Mangold, Heyman Maria Budinger, and yeah, there's plenty more in there. That is, again, going to be on Criterion Channel. And
Yes.
I've seen this movie kind of a lot lately in like spaces of social media. Mainly, I think he mentioned it in his Criterion, that little closet DVD thing.
Ethan Hawke?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he mentioned it in that as well. But I've seen him
probably
talk
did.
about this a lot lately. And I'm curious how it's going to go.
Yeah, and it also looks like the exact aesthetic that Gen Z is trying to emulate.
Yeah.
So I think that's another reason.
So
to
get
throw it
ready
up.
for back-to-back
Yeah.
drama romances on
The
here.
funny thing is that I do not think this will be as impactful or suspenseful because we know it's not their only night together since there's two others.
That's true. I wish you never
Sorry
said
to
there
have
was a
ruined
trilogy.
that for me. Sorry to ruin that for you. But yes, so Before Sunrise is our assignment for next episode. That can be found on Criterion Channel, right?
Yes.
Criterion Channel, yes. So thank you everyone for listening and watching. As always, you can check out our website at www.keystonefilmreview.com. On Instagram, we're Keystone_film_review. Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Keystone Film Review, and on Letterboxd, I'm Mike KFR.
And I'm Glen KFR.
And that will do it until next week when we hope that they don't break up at the end of the night or never see each other. And then it's just a completely different character in Before Sunset and Before Midnight. Who knows?
Maybe all the women's names are these things, these objects of the sun.
And Ethan Hawke just plays three different people.
He just plays a player.
I feel like that doesn't happen. But
It
anyway.
doesn't.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.